Hi, it's Monday, September 5th, 2011. I'm Rob Booker, and I'm joined by Scott Welsh. Hi, Scott. Hello
Hello there.
all the pivoteers. You're looking at, on the screen in front of you, a shot of the the Piptoring forum, not the Pivoteers forum. That's a different forum. You're looking at a screenshot of the Piptoring forum. There are all kinds of new things available on this forum, and I want to spend just 2 minutes directing your attention to some new lessons. Number one, Scott, we've heard from a significant number of people that some of the indicators available for download for the installation of the Bossilator, some of those indicators were not working. I have re-uploaded every one of those indicators, and they are all now in working form. If you've had trouble in the past, please take a moment and download these new versions. If you have any problems with these new versions or the old versions, contact us on the forum and we'll pay some particular and close attention to you. But I think that the files were corrupted. All of them were corrupted, and if you ever experience problems with those files, please let us know. We'll take a look at it. Over the weekend, we completed the lessons that are available about the Bossilator. You can watch the welcome and introduction by clicking here. You can set up your charts by clicking on 2.0. Lesson 3.0 is quite simple. It's how I built the Bossilator and a quick view of the spreadsheet. Nothing more than that. It would only take you about 20 minutes to figure that out. The meat of the course is trend trading and counter trend trading. We had a nice conversation about this yesterday. I'm going to stop recording for just a moment. To continue with that discussion about the Bossilator, there are two sections that then become your focus after going through the beginning introductory stages. Number one is trend trading the Bossilator. All of these lessons are complete except for 4.9, using your own methods to trade the Bossilator. That's coming soon. We're not going to worry about that exactly right now. Everybody is already posting some of their own methods, Scott, so I don't think we need to take any giant leaps on this.
Well, a lot of people have a lot of good ideas. You can tell people have come with a little bit of experience.
Yeah,
That's nice.
that's what I like best about the group, is that people have come with their own experience, Scott, and they're posting charts, including their own stuff. If someone were to ask you, Scott, I'm new to the Bossilator course, and I had a lot of experience with the Ichimoku cloud. Is it okay if I post some charts? What would you say?
Well, I think what you said earlier about focus is really important. I would say at right now, while we're all learning this, I would probably say hold off on it, but we definitely want to investigate it later. That would be what because there's so many methods out there at the moment. I would like this. I mean, I know how I want to trade, and I'm excited. When I watched the Fibbles video, I got excited about it and wanted to look at it. So I would probably say we definitely have a time and place for that, but maybe not this moment. That would be what I'd say.
So just to repeat again, we want you to include your previous experience. We want you to talk about it with us if you have extensive experience. However, you don't have to feel bad about not posting it, and you don't need to feel over anxious about posting it. We welcome any comments or any kind of participation on the forum, any kind whatsoever. But what Scott just said is incredibly important. Just pick a focus, whether it's your own thing or whether it's something that you read about within these lessons here. Just pick a focus. Just start the process of focusing. And there have been some good conversations in the forum about that. People saying they're going to trend trade for 1 month and then they're going to counter trend trade. And Scott, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea a lot. I thought that was a great idea. Do a little bit of both. You won't find out. You'll look on a chart and you'll see what this sounds and looks really great, and then you'll trade it and you won't like it at all. And that's happened so many times with me personally. So a month, and you said it on the videos too, a week is not enough. I think a month is perfect.
Yeah, great. So we're all on the same page. It took us a while to complete and round out the course and the lessons, and I want to express my appreciation to all of you who were so patient as we were putting those lessons up, and super happy to have you a part of the family. It's a great crowd. And one last comment before we jump into the charts. I desperately want you to participate in the forum. Even those of you who feel like you're brand new and don't have much to add, please, please participate in the forum. Ask questions. Most importantly, post your trades in the Bossilator trades section. Forex trades and stocks trades have separate sections. And inside of the Forex trade section, we now have short-term, medium-term, and long-term trading areas. You can post any chart from any currency pair inside of any of those three areas. So for short-term traders, they can be drawn immediately to where they want to focus. If you're not posting charts or dreaming up your own trades, please interact with other people on the forum. Converse amongst yourselves. There may even be some kind of reward given out for participation in the forum. We really want to encourage giant amounts of discussion. We found over the years that the more discussion there is, the more conversation that goes on, the longer you'll be a part of our group, and the more successful you will be at the methodologies that you are learning.
I think the discussion is definitely going up too. I know I check the unread posts several times a day, and there's some excellent conversations going on in the various different sections. So I think that's great. It's definitely been great lately too.
I agree. I'm impressed again at the level of participation and the level of interest that people have. I'm not just interested in hearing from you if you're smart or if you get it. I'm interested in hearing from you on the forum if you're struggling. We want you to be a part of the conversation. If you're struggling, you need the help, and this is the place to get it. Let's take a moment now, and I want to look at two different charts that were posted today. One on the 5-minute chart and then one from the 15-minute chart. The 5-minute chart was posted by Zeke. Zeke posted a 5-minute chart and said, hey, I'm going to do a Fibbles trade. And I thought it was the most awesome thing I'd ever seen in my whole life. If you want to know where that post is, I'm going to post a link to it right inside the webinar software. And I'm going to post a link to it right on the home page in the chat window so that you can see that link right now. All the links inside the chat window are now clickable, so take a look at that action. What Zeke did was drew a fib retracement today from the recent high made on the pound dollar on the 5-minute chart down to the lowest low that it made overnight. You can look inside the forum and participate in that discussion. And I've got a picture of it right here on the chart in front of us. What Zeke did was took the highest high that the currency pair made when it was last at the 800, stretched that down to the low that the currency pair made at the point where it reached a reading of 200 on the Bossilator. This produced a fib retracement that produced, secondarily, an entry area for Zeke. If you don't know the rules of this methodology, you simply need to check out that lesson inside the forum. The entry came below the 23 mark, or an entry could have even come below the 33 mark. I'm not sure where Zeke entered the trade, but the stop would have gone up here above these recent highs that the currency pair made in the midst of that retracement. And the initial profit target on this trade would have come at the 0 line, at which point Zeke would have taken profit completely or would have moved the stop loss to break even and tried for even more profit. This is an example of the Fibbles trade, soon to be renamed the trifecta after the 23, the 33, and the 38% retracement areas. Those three retracement areas make up the trifecta in this entry technique. Scott, this is pretty much a textbook entry, and I know this is not something that you've previously used or worried about, but this is a textbook entry from somebody who learned it just basically 24 to 48 hours ago.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, your strategies have always been, since I've known you, very, very easy. And the Fibbles has a lot of steps to it, but I think that's pretty remarkable that he got it exactly right. That looks perfect.
Yeah, so congratulations to Zeke. Thank you for your participation on the forum. Let's take a look at Forex trades medium term. Here's a 15-minute sell trade posted by Roger Danez. Rohe, I don't know who Rohe is, and I don't even know how to pronounce the name. But this is practice on trend trading, moving average crossovers. You'll see here on this chart that's posted, and I'm going to increase the size of my screen so that you can see it, that an entry on this seems to have come a little bit late, and I want to talk about this right now. Vertical red line, Boss reaches 200 bars. Soon after, the 13 EMA crossed below the 62, but we see a gap, so he waited for a retracement. So seemingly at first it doesn't look like it was taken in the right place, but in fact it was done perfectly. What Rohe did here was saw this crossover after the 200, waited for the currency pair to jump back up and give a sale price or a better price than was originally offered. Scott, I think that's pure genius, not rushing into the trade, but waiting for some kind of retracement. And in this instance, this retracement is not insubstantial. This was a retracement, Scott, of like 30 points.
Yeah, you could have just passed. I mean, you could have just said that's too big and moved on to the next one, but this is an excellent strategy. It came up and filled that gap there. It came up and hit one of the moving averages there. I think that's pretty darn savvy.
Excellent stuff. Take profit 1 and 2, if I follow this correctly, were both reached, and this is pure genius. It's simple moving average crossover trading with the trend based on the Bossilator. Those examples are both done. Those trades should be both complete. Scott, in a moment, maybe we'll have you pull up a stock, and
Sure.
what I will do is take a look at, I'm just going to pull up a currency pair. I'm going to pull one up at random, the Euro-Canadian, and I will cycle through the charts to see if anything is remotely setting up. See, the 1-minute chart is at the 800, so that's irrelevant. The 5-minute chart is at the 800, so that's irrelevant. The 15-minute chart, on the other hand, has reached 472. We're in prime trend trading territory on the Euro-Canadian. If I were a Fibbles trader or a trifecta trader, I would draw a retracement on this currency pair from the recent highs made when it was last at the 800, something possibly in this area, down to the lowest lows that it has made so far. And what I would find is, right now, this currency pair is producing, at this moment, entries because it is jumping up above the 23 and then coming back down. A stop loss would ideally be placed above the recent highs that this currency pair has made, and the initial profit target would be down at the 0 line, all the way down in the mid-38s. Now, you could alternatively, on this currency pair, start your fib drawing a little bit further back. You could do that. It wouldn't change a thing. You'd still actually have had entries. And let me tell you why you would not draw your fib all the way back there. If you draw it all the way back to this level here, you're drawing it back on a high that was made before the currency pair hit the 800. I'd rather come back here and start thinking about drawing it once it has hit the 800. The highest point after that was over here. So right now the EuroCAD would be in the midst of a sell trade possibility. It would be fighting against anyone who took it, and it would be looking, I would say, so-so. It's not giving feedback right away. It's not producing profit. It's kind of just languishing and going sideways. And if it were me, I would be closing this trade out at a small profit or break even, and I would be waiting for this currency pair to jump back up and maybe give me an entry up in this area here after a move above the 38 and then back down through the 33. But I would probably, other than that, walk away from this opportunity. Scott, would you possibly be ready to take a look at a stock?
Yeah, I am ready, actually. I've got a couple. If you want to
I'll make you the presenter. If you're asking a question inside the chat box, we'll move on to your question right at the conclusion of Scott's description of what he's looking at.
I did. My background is when I started, I did all stocks. So I do some posting in the forum and I have studied them quite a bit. I am fond of them. I've just fallen in love with currencies now a little bit more. But here is a stock, Amethyst, AMED. My buddies actually are in have a little stock contest among themselves too. So I have to look at stocks so I can beat them in the game each month also. But this is one that I'm looking at right now for a couple reasons. Now, you said decide who you like and who you are. I'm counter trend. I started reading Warren Buffett, who is counter trend and always trading back to fair value or trading back to the mean. So that's who I am right now. You're trying to tempt me with all this great trend trading stuff, though, so please stop doing that. But I'm definitely a counter trend trader at this moment. As you can see on my screen here, the blue on my trade station charts, which we don't have that in MT4, but the blue means 500. So on AMED, we've already reached 500, and let's see how far away we actually are. 567. It's not 750, which is kind of the minimum we've required. It's not 1,000, which is my favorite and your favorite. But this is something that I'm interested in and something that I would like to compete with my friends with and see how much this can go up. A couple of reasons, or a couple of things I'd be looking for. Number one, the price is dropping down. You can see our stochastic, our 30-10-10, is now dropping below. If these bars can continue to count up and keep getting bigger and bigger, and this comes down and turns, I feel like by the time this is getting ready to turn, we're due for a trip back up to the 800. Now, the other point I want to make about this particular stock at the moment, and I posted something, I've done a lot of stock testing, as I said. One interesting thing about this stock is the closing price last week was 1537, and the moving average was up at 27. If it made a trip back suddenly, for whatever reason, back to the 800, you can see 100% gain. That's well over a 50% discount, quote unquote, between fair value, quote unquote, of the 800 and where it's at. This is a lot of space for a company that's probably not going to go bankrupt and go back to zero. I would be tempted in my previous life to even enter and immediately and not even wait for this. However, I would definitely wait for it to come and cross back up and try to go back to the 800, and that's on a 60-minute chart. So that is the real life stock that I'm looking at, that I would love to have maybe take some of my Forex trading money and put into a stock account and do that. We also have the Dow Jones Index that might be looking also for a counter. Once again, we're at 500. It's been away. In other words, the stock market might be going up. We may predict that. But we need this to come all the way down and cross back up. But there's some space there, and I think that might be a decent trade in time.
So the stock market's trending lower right now. However, if that regular stochastic slow at the bottom of your screen can dip down into oversold territory, that could present an opportunity to trade it back up.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, if we can go down a little bit more over time, we might be nearing 750 or 1,000 by that point too.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it might be going down at the moment, but I think we're due for a lift up here pretty soon.
And as you've mentioned before, the Dow Jones Industrial Index isn't necessarily going to get to 750 or 1,000 as frequently as other financial instruments.
Right, and that's why I would definitely be interested in this one right after that 500 level. It doesn't get to 1,000 very much. And as far as AMED, I just like the space of it. I mean, it's almost 100% discounted from its 800 simple moving average. So that's why I might be tempted to get in a little bit earlier, although I think in AMED's case you can just wait. It's going to turn here pretty soon, and it would be much better. You wouldn't have to worry about getting stopped out that way.
Does it matter to you when a stock is coming up on earnings? Does it make any difference?
No. I mean, I might look at it, but no, it doesn't make any difference to me. No. I would trade the signal regardless.
Right. Let's see, events. Earning conference. The earnings release was on August 2nd. So it's irrelevant anyway. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It is interesting. They're in the business of home health services for the chronic comorbid aging American.
What is that?
Comorbid. I think that's you and me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Comorbid. All right. there are some questions, Scott, that came through while we were talking, and I want to address those, and then we'll end this presentation. Phil says the Bossilator ELD in TradeStation seems okay, but adding it to a Eurodollar 5-minute chart creates an indicator area at the bottom of the chart without changing any input parameters, but it's blank apart from an axis to 0.0 to 1.9. Does that make any sense at all to you?
Actually, it does not. If it's blank, sometimes I don't have enough data. You just would go on TradeStation, go to Format, Symbol, if it ever works, and then change the amount of data, 3 weeks back or 3 months back or 3 years back. I've had it not show up many times just because I didn't have enough data. But as far as the other stuff, no, I'm not familiar.
Okay. Phil, would you let us know, keep chatting with us here on the home page, and we'll take a look at that. And Pips Galore says, am I seeing things wrong, or have there been a plethora of 1-minute and 5-minute trades on many pairs since just this AM? That's correct. There have been a bunch, and you will probably see a whole lot more. I'll stop the recording now. Thanks for joining us on the watch list today. We'll have this uploaded and posted to the forum as soon as possible.